The show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. Weekday mornings, 7 to 9 here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Learn more about the program over at TampaBayRadio.com. Going to bring Nick Paris back into the discussion here. One of our guests unable to make it this morning so far, Lauren Oberweger. We wish her well. Hopefully she's all right, but she's unable to be in studio with us right now. So we're going to revisit the fifth installment of Tech Thursdays here. So Nick with us there in the 7 o'clock hour, and owner of Alpha Computing Solutions.
So Jamie, I was thinking about one of the questions you asked me earlier about what are some of the technologies that are not being used, and I mentioned the voice recognition, but one of the other ones I think that's a really big one is desktop and server virtualization. I think server virtualization is kind of caught on, but I think desktops are really going to be the next big one.
That's an interesting, that's a word that's kind of hard to wrap itself around, or that concept. What do you mean by desktop virtualization exactly?
Okay, so basically, and this is going to be difficult for people in radio land because I'm using my hands here to kind of do a little bit of
well, we do have a video up there.
Yeah,
so
we do have a video, but if they're just listening on the radio, it's going to be kind of difficult. But anyway,
it's not helping. I'm still confused.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, what you've got is you've got a desktop that's being actually run on a server on the back end, okay, and you're accessing that on the computer that's sitting in front of you. So you're not actually computing on the computer that's in front of you. You're doing it on the computer that's on the back end. So it's kind of, imagine almost like a looking glass into your desktop on the back side.
It seems like with all this cloud-based stuff that the days of the PC failure are going to go away, because everything's going to be sitting on some remote server, including our desktops now. Is that the way that IT is moving?
And that's kind of exactly what I'm talking about. That what you're doing is you're taking that desktop and removing it from right in front of you. The other advantage is you can get to that desktop from anywhere. So if you leave the office, you go home, you use the same technology to get to your desktop, all your stuff is still open, still running, and you can work on the stuff right then and there.
We actually run a lot of the shows on Saturdays that way. My boss just sits on his couch, fires up his iPhone, starts streaming. So a lot of the streams that run on Saturdays, nobody's actually in studio.
Interesting.
So it works very well.
Now, Nick, we talk a lot in here about the Windows products. Are you skilled and up to date on all the Mac products too? Do you get to both of those, or do you just stick with the Windows products?
We primarily, I would say, it's probably 75-25. We do some Mac work, but most of the work that we do is Windows based, primarily because we're a commercial based firm. We do some residential stuff, but most of it is Windows-based stuff.
Is Mac a good solution for a business owner? I mean, it seems like most of the business professionals I'm around, it's always a Windows-based product. You're around a millennial, though, they're on the Macs. So.
Well, it really depends on the firm and what they do. If you're like a graphics design firm or something like that, definitely the Mac has got a better platform for that. But if you're legal or doing just your typical everyday business sort of work, yeah, most of the software out there is for a Windows platform.
Now, tell us about some of the services that you offer. I know one of the things I like about your services, you have the AlphaSync product. Tell us about the AlphaSync product.
Well, the AlphaSync is very similar to Dropbox. It's a commercial grade alternative, and it's a little bit faster. One of the other ones is we host off-site backups for our clients. They're co-located, so we have a facility here in Tampa, as well as we have a facility out in Dallas. So both backups are stored in both of those locations. One of the other advantages is that we have the ability to, again, reaching back to virtualization, we take the backups and we spin up a virtual machine or a virtual copy of your server in our data center. So if your server goes down, our server kicks in at a moment's notice. We do that almost on a daily basis, in some instances multiple times a day. So we're updating that server of yours within just a few hours. So if something happens, if your building gets burned or you have some natural disaster, we're able to spin up a virtual copy for you immediately.
I thought the upload and download speed dictates how fast something like Dropbox is. How is it faster? Doesn't that have to do with your internet connection?
It does have to do with your internet connection, but our pipe is bigger, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is that we've just about got the max for the FiOS service, and so we found that especially, and that's one of the things about being here in Tampa, is that we get a little spoiled. And that's another reason we chose Dallas as our secondary location, was the fact that they also had FiOS service out there. When we were doing our vetting process and trying to find where else to put our second location, internet speed was huge. And in fact, We're probably about 10 miles north of Dallas, because Dallas wasn't a Verizon area at the time, but Plano, which is just north of there, is, and that was very crucial to us to make sure that we did have those upload and download speeds.
Now, in 7 o'clock hour, we're talking about Windows 10 and some of the changes. And if I remember right, I think Windows 10 comes with its own virus protection program as well. Are you familiar with that, or do you know about that service?
Again, sometimes I say you get what you pay for. I totally recommend
that's what I was
something.
getting at. Yeah. I mean, do people? I see that being marketed as Windows 10 has its own antivirus program, but you still need to upgrade to another product on the market.
I believe so. I believe you still ought to have some other product in place. I think to handle the virus issues, it really is more at an operating system level. The operating systems themselves need to have that feature just built in and not kind of as an add-on. It just needs to be integrated into how the operating system itself works, so that we're not having to trap a virus, quarantine it, so on and so forth. The operating system has to deal with it at the most basic level. And I think until we do that, we're always going to have this sort of reactive, proactive situation.
So what virus program do you recommend, or do you have your own product over at Alpha Computing Solutions?
We use a product called WebRoot. It's very light, it's very fast, and it really does a very good job of catching stuff. The other product we use in conjunction with that is a program called Malwarebytes, and between those two, we've pretty much found that we can take care of anything.
Yeah, Malwarebytes is a good little program right there. It's free, and it's something you can download off the internet, and I use it a number of times. It's saved me from the FBI virus and some of the other viruses out there. You've been familiar with the FBI virus?
No, absolutely. And Malwarebytes has got a paid version that will run constantly in the background, just like a normal antivirus program. So.
Yeah, the FBI virus is it's a tricky little thing. It pops up on your screen there, and it's got a guy in an FBI outfit pointing to you and said you've been caught downloading illegal stuff. And,
right.
And it's I've seen it even turn on the webcam before, and so it's like, we're currently recording you, and they want you to call some 800 number now, and it's tricky. You can't get that thing off there.
Well, that's a good way to freak people out, is turn the camera on.
Yeah.
And you see yourself on the computer, and that you're like, wow, okay, Big Brother's really watching me.
I saw on my phone for the first time the other day one of those. It wasn't the FBI virus, but how you go to some sites and it says your computer has virus. You got to call this 800 number now to get it removed. That happened for the first time on my phone the other day. So I guess they're now moving into the mobile world and getting those things to work.
Phones are just like computers. They're not any different. And so we're going to see, I think, a spike or an increase in viruses that are targeted at phones, iPhones and Android.
Does the browsers more affected by certain viruses? I mean, Internet Explorer is the most common one. If people use Google Chrome or now Edge, are they at less likely to get an internet virus?
No, it's really more based on the site and the injection of the virus at the site. Really, the browser is really just a medium for moving that thing back and forth.
Okay. That's a common thing I hear from people. If they're like, if you're not using Internet Explorer, you'd be all right. Use a Chrome or Safari or whatever. I think Safari's Mac or something. But right. All right, we got to wrap up this segment. Coming back from the break, I'll be talking with Kelly Ham, founder and principal consultant with Bill Meyer Ham Consulting. Talks a lot about workplace culture. So excellent consultant to bring your team together and help increase the bottom line. In the meantime, learn more about the program over at TampaBayRadio.com and connect with me on all the social media sites. Facebook.com/That Business Show, and also Twitter under Jamie_Maloney. You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.
The opinions, viewpoints, and promises